space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Retrek. I'm Captain Jim. With me, of course, Sir Admiral Elliot.
Hi there.
And Dr. Squee.
Drone classic model.
And we are here. Yeah, it needs to be classic model. It's freezing, isn't it, these days?
Aye.
Anyway, we are here.
Central heating's on, so I wouldn't know about this.
Well, you're all right, yeah. The latest episode of Lower Decks, which is Something Borrowed, Something Green. And we've ended up looking at The Naked Now. But we want to give you a little bit of an insight into the creative process. Yes, there is one.
Yeah.
The creative process that goes into each episode of Retrek. When it's Lower Decks, we always pick an episode that is linked to the episode we've watched. And usually there's an absolute abundance of choice in Lower Decks with all the Easter eggs, all the references. This episode, not so much. And the one we sort of came up with was we're going to have to do Bound from Enterprise, which is the Orion Slave Girl one.
Well, as a lot of people know, we did a whole series on time travel after Discovery Season 2 because we had a long time and we did a lot of time travel. So we covered the obvious Time's Arrow previously. That's why that was straight out.
And you think that was the perfect time to do it because you wouldn't picture there would be two Mark Twains in
No,
one
you wouldn't.
Because you know what they always say, never the twain shall meet.
Hey.
Nothing blowing. Oh, okay.
Yes. So I liked it. I thought that was good.
It was.
So yeah, we thought we'll have to do Bound from Enterprise.
Fuck yes, I have. Actually, it's more embarrassing than that. I only thought about it on the rewatch. That's the worst of it. And I'm like, oh.
Well, I didn't think of it at all. So you're one step ahead there. So then we decided that Bound was the episode to do. And Squee sort of had a feeling that we'd done that episode before. I was convinced we hadn't.
Oh yes.
And eventually it turned out we actually had.
About
it's when Jim said, it's like,
I think
we've covered this. And like he goes, oh, why don't we do Bound? I go, I would have thought for sure we'd cover it. Go, no, we definitely haven't. It's like, okay, I'm not questioning the man.
I thought we hadn't.
So about 10 o'clock last night when I was preparing the thumbnail for this episode, it was like, I've edited these pictures before.
Yeah. How did you word it before we came online earlier?
I've removed the background from these girls before.
And I said, I'm sure you have, you dirty bastard.
So, yeah, it turned out we had. Turned out it's that memorable that I couldn't remember us talking about it.
As it happens, it was just shy of a year ago.
It was, yeah.
October the 5th, so a week later.
I think it started twigging.
I'm sure I wouldn't have just chosen to watch this episode. It's such a random one. I don't remember it particularly favorably, and I think when we rewatched it, we realized it was worse than we remembered it. So
that was the thing. I think that's when I realized I started getting angry about the same things that I'd got angry about last time, and writing down the same jokes to tell. Anyway, so why did we go with The Naked Now again, Elliot? I know you explained it.
It's because if you look at when we look at Rutherford and Boimler in the quarters, one of Rutherford's things he has on his shelf is the toy that Wesley has, his repulsor that he's built as his science project.
That'll do then. That's his reason, because this episode had so few references compared to your regular Lower Decks.
I actually thought this was a lot. This is. Again, we've said before, it's like, it's not like we like all the episodes, but this is my least favorite this season.
I'd agree.
Possibly so far of Lower Decks, if I'm honest. Like, this one just did not sing for me. It didn't
do a lot for me.
Pace that it usually does.
I've actually enjoyed it a lot more on the second watch. I think the B story was very weak.
I thought both stories really didn't get enough
I like
because the B plot was like, as you say, it was basically a setup they weren't getting on, then they resolve it straight away. Yeah. Nothing. And the main story was kind of like she doesn't even find a sister to right the end, and they meet, are angry, and resolve all in one scene. So it was like, because you didn't lay in the seeds of having the sister in earlier, I felt that was rushed, even though you spent the whole episode on it. You haven't got to the heart of what it's about until right at the end. So I
think it's because I think half the problem is, like, even though the Orions, like, as a species, as alien species, the Orions are the very first alien that Roddenberry introduced us to in the cage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we were saying, I was going, why don't we, as opposed to this, why don't we cover the Orion slave girl up? You know, the episode where they concentrate on the Orion slave girls in the GOS, and you guys were going, oh, was it this episode? Or Jim at least guessed, was it this episode? I can't remember. And I looked, and the only episode we're in is the cage and the menagerie, which is the cage with...
Also, the one that Action has was done off...
which one?
On the prison planet. Where they've taken...
Yeah, whom Gods Destroy.
Oh, are they in there? Because I couldn't find any reference.
That's an Orion. She's a prisoner, yeah. It's actually it's actually the original Batgirl from the Batman series who plays her.
Yes, it is.
Why did we do that one then?
I suggested that one.
Last night,
I honestly, I looked up on every Memory Alpha, on everything I could find. It only referenced the cage and the menagerie, and then it went on to Enterprise. It ignored.
Well, there's Cage, Menagerie, Journey to Babel. There's an Orion in it, and Whom Gods Destroy.
Yeah,
Memory Alpha. You fuck me, quite frankly.
But there's TNG.
It was on my Memory Alpha.
I don't think we have any Orions in TNG.
No.
I don't think we have any Orions in DS9.
Don't think so.
We have 2 Orion episodes of Enterprise, and we've done one, and we chose not to do the other one because you didn't want to do the first episode of a 3-part for reasons.
Well, no, just for me. If you'd said to go with it, I would have. I just thought one part then separate from the other 2 parts.
Anyway, we're doing the naked now. Well, I think we've given the people too much of the backstage.
Hey, you don't know how it works.
That's it, exactly. We argue about things until we finally settle on an episode.
Yeah, we need to start getting our white wigs out to do a bit of Mozart.
That's it. We should have done. We should have all dressed up as Mark Twain, and we'd have agreed on which episode. We'd have been fine.
I just want to quickly jump in with, like, just because Jim said it was on his Memory Alpha, then I will assume Memory Alpha had it on and I misread it. That's probably more likely than Memory Alpha fucking up and leaving up 2 episodes. So sorry, Memory Alpha.
Because
unfuck yourself. I'm sorry.
Because Memory Alpha's open source like Wikipedia, I deleted the references, and you must have looked at it just before they realised and updated it again.
Fuck with me.
Have you ever done that? Just change something random on Wikipedia just for laugh. See how long it takes them to remove it.
One of the best ones is the Bugle podcast. Whenever they've got Nish Kumar on, he's several times made references and a joke, and they've added it to his Wikipedia. Like, they've really rewritten his Wikipedia with everything he's jokingly claimed on the show or made any reference to.
Yeah, it's
brilliant.
Really cool stuff. Like, there's a wrestler called Sami Zayn. And they did this really big storyline the other year where he was trying to join this group called the Bloodline, which is made up of various people, but there's 2 brothers in it called the Usos. And as part of the storyline, they said, oh, shall we call him Sammy Uso? And somebody changed it on Wikipedia to have him as Sammy Uso on the Wikipedia, and that stuck for a while. Anywho, so something borrowed, something green. And we go back to the ongoing storyline, which we didn't have any of last week, but we're back to it now. And it's pretty much the same as what we got with the Klingons and the Romulans, but this time it's the Orions.
Yes, well, this is a pattern. Have you noticed, though, that they're getting rid of usual suspects?
Mm-hmm.
And all
I thought particularly with this one as well, I thought it was like, right, we've done it as cutaways a couple of times, so how do we do it so it's not going to get tired by the 3rd one? So that's, I think, why you had it kind of very quickly at the beginning, and it ties into the main alien race of the week. Story. Yeah, I thought that was kind of clever. It's like, let's not make this get...
Does anybody want to add any new theories on who it might be? Because I want to expand on my original theory.
Oh, go on.
That it could be evil Boimler with Section 31 that have worked out wheel technology that are going around killing their enemies of the Federation.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah, that would be good.
Oh, and I just want to throw this out to cover our bases. Iconians.
Yeah, it could always be the Iconians.
Well, which one's the Iconians?
They were the ones who have the gateways, but every time there's a new threat in Star Trek,
we've always worked out a way that it could be the Iconians.
Just took me a second to place them.
And we haven't said it, so we have to cover our bases just in case. Iconians.
One time it will be the Iconian.
I've got it. Look, I'm sorry, guys, but I figured it out. It's the Red Angel from Discovery.
It could be the Red Angel.
And everyone will rejoice because that was the best storyline ever.
The Red Angel was an alright storyline.
No, it ended perfectly. You're right. Yeah, it wasn't tiresome at all.
It went on too long in the middle, but
it was a good storyline. It just didn't land the ending.
I just think it being her mum and it's her mum is also her.
And it did give us Captain Pike.
It did.
Which is
exactly.
Strange New Worlds. So I have no problem with the Red Angel.
No, the Red Angel's okay.
Hey, look, you can enjoy the Pike part and still think the Red Angel storyline maybe needed a bit of tweaking.
In the middle, it got a bit. But anyway. Yeah. So, yes, as you say, the Orions are introduced at the start. They're the ones who get destroyed this time.
I also think this is the first time we've ever seen this class of ship, an Orion pirate ship.
I think it is, yeah. So I was expecting it to look more like the TOS Orions, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
So yeah,
well,
there
nice.
You go. You'll be able to buy the Orion ship, no doubt, before too long.
That's better get saving.
Oh, there was a look in your face.
And then it leads into Tendi.
You already bought it, Elliot. You've got to tell us if you have.
No, I haven't got a 3D printer. I haven't got room for a 3D printer, but I've been pricing them up.
Just there was something look in your eyes, just like sheep. I was like,
now they've got to 8K resolution.
They are getting pretty good.
Well, they're up to 12K now.
So Tendi gets to go back to Orion, which is the setup. This is something we've been having for a long time. Is when are we going to find out the truth about Tendi? And we're going to get it this episode. Little underwhelming, in my opinion, but we'll get there.
Sorry, I thought we were going to go there.
No, I was just expecting a bit more, but
no, that's the thing. I figure like we've already covered. Like it was what we expected. We've already covered that she's not wanting to be part of the pirate thing. She doesn't want to admit that she's ever been anything to do with the pirate thing. And we basically know that family of the pirate thing, and she has been trained in it, and she's gone back on it. And everything played out exactly how we've already been told. There was no surprise. There was nothing. That's another reason why this didn't really hit. It was just what we already knew kind of played out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was sort of like putting all the little pieces together in one show, wasn't it?
It
was like giving us all the teasers.
Do you remember in Babylon 5 when they had in the beginning? Not bad. It was a fun little TV movie, but it was exactly everything they'd already told us. There was no surprise, no invention, nothing new. The only thing which was really cool about that was the voiceover by Lando, which made it kind of cool. He goes like, if I could face my last days with an ounce of the dignity the human race did. Oh, it's just wonderful. But nothing in the story was new. And this felt like that. It did.
A nice way though that we're, because we've had the new threat, whatever it is, the Iconians, and we've seen them 3 times now. But I like the fact that they acknowledge it, like the characters become aware of it in this episode, because they say, "Oh, it'll help smooth things over after the recent ship was destroyed." So it's a nice subtle way of telling us that this is not going unnoticed, that there's stuff going on. So I like that very much, how it's subtly bringing it into the story.
What did you make of the music that they played for the ship? Like the big booming sort of brass section?
I didn't give it a lot of thought, but go on.
I remember it reminded me of something else. I don't know.
It reminded me of something, but I don't know what it reminded me of. You
The
know, when
opening
something's
part,
playing,
yeah.
I'm thinking, that reminds me of that's.
Do you know what it sounded like? I can't remember from what, but it sounded like some like there's a few generic kind of sound files, which because I've done some editing on audio plays before, which I found out like I've now heard a lot of the ones which I used on other podcasts on Big Finish, which do the audios for Doctor Who. And it sounded a bit like one of those. It sounded like a generic opening thing, which they tweaked to be theirs. That's what it reminded me of.
You never know. Cost cutting these days.
I mean, it seemed like a lazy episode all round, so why not be lazy with this as well? I'm sorry, but it's like, where were all the quips? Where was all the fast pace? Like, the biggest laugh was Mariner keeping on getting a knife in her chest, which I thought was quite funny. It's like, seriously? Like, exactly in the same spot.
Yeah, you're right. There wasn't any sort of... There wasn't any sort of big laughs in this one, and I don't think the drama was good enough to make up for it. So,
it was, there wasn't anything wrong with the episode, but I think the problem Lower Decks has is it's such a high standard all the time. When you have a normal episode, it stands out. It's not that it's a bad episode; it's just a normal episode. And it stands out because Lower Decks has set its bar so high.
But I think that's true of all the new Star Trek, though, because it's generally such a high standard, apart from Discovery. Sorry, something in my note. But in all the other ones, no, I didn't say that. But usually, because it's only 10 episodes a series, it's not saying it's easy, but if you've got some really talented writers, you can do 10 episodes without really too much of a dip. There's usually one which is the poorer cousin, but and this is kind of it for this series.
Yeah.
But I think it's easier to get a good hit rate with 10 episodes than it is with fucking 30 or whatever it was they were on in the early series of TNG.
Definitely.
It was 26 for TNG. It was in the 30s for TOS.
Which is ludicrous. Like, especially like you get with the original series, it was kind of like the reason why they called them seasons was literally it would last at least a season of TV. They wouldn't take breaks, they were just churning out TV.
Yeah.
By the time Next Generation, actually 26 was a high run count for most shows. It was still
actually, still had a lot of shows that were doing the season was half a year at that point.
Was it 26 episodes? I thought it was 22.
General American TV is 22. That's kind of the standard.
26 was still a lot.
Like, they say it's 26 weeks it'll last over, so you'll get maybe 22, 24 episodes because you'll stop for Christmas and like American, like Thanksgiving, and
I think the reason for the 26 is actually a bit of a clever economical reason, because to sell it into syndication, you used to need 100 episodes.
Yeah.
So if you do 26, you only need 4 seasons, whereas if you do 22, you need 5 seasons.
And they like even numbers because it was 2 episodes per VHS.
But well, there you go. Exactly. Yeah. If they'd have done 25, what are you going to do? Put 3 episodes on a tape?
It's really strange because I've actually numbered The Naked Now. Some people might say it wrong because I've called it episode 2. But if you go on Netflix, it's episode 3 because they split up Encounter at Farpoint into 2 episodes.
Which is part 1, part 2 of 1 feature length. And to be honest with you, Netflix, what the fuck are you playing at? It should be 1 episode.
Yeah, it should.
Why can't you do that? Why do you have to put in 2 episodes? Because it's like, sorry, I'm going to get a little soapbox just very quickly, but the thing which really fucks me off is Cheers. You cannot get the last episode anywhere on DVD or Blu-ray, on streaming or anywhere where the last episode is a feature-length thing in its full entirety. Now it's split into 3 parts, and they cut bits out which were in the original thing, and you cannot get the original. And they
that's stupid.
There's chunks which I remember very distinctly, and I love that episode. Like, there's one of my favorite sort of hours of TV because it really is the perfect finale. In the same way, the first episode, Cheese, was the perfect introduction. Really. It just fucks me off. But anyway, sorry, that's a side note. But So why I don't get why on streaming they have to divide it down. Why not?
Yeah, I don't get that. I mean, it'll probably be because the network will sell it to them in the same form, they sell it to the TV stations, which they
I'm
split all the two parts up because they.
I'm quite sure when I first watched Encounter at Farpoint, it was shown as a two-parter. So I watched Encounter at Farpoint.
It was.
And the next week, I watched.
But again, it'll have been when it was first broadcast. It was broadcast as a 2-hour thing.
Yeah.
So 90 minutes, 2 hours with commercials. But then it was split for BBC Two did it properly. But then it was broken down for syndication. So I imagine what the streamers buy is the syndication package.
Yeah.
Anyway, this shows there's not a lot to talk about in the episode, but like you say, we go through the motions. They go to the planet. There's a few. They have to go talk to one person, talk to another person.
You're all shocked how everyone's spawning all over Tandy and
and the upshot of it all. Again, it's stuff like you say that we already knew. She's basically a pirate queen, but she didn't want to do that. She thought her sister would be better, and that's it, really.
There was one nice bit. There was one nice, again, along the lines of Mariner with the knife and the thing. It was just a little one-liner from the Vulcan. So it's like, it was Mariner going, it's like, oh, it's so cool. I want to see this, that, and the other. And the Vulcan just goes, I concur. Like it was the most.
I'm liking
it. Give away that he thinks it was cool, but she did it in Vulcan.
It's like when the Indian raid slave pit. And there's the blokes and Mariner's going, oh, look at that B-Funk. And the Vulcan goes, yes, he is aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was a beautiful bit of Vulcan. Again, I'm not going to mention the other thing I don't want to drag something down to build something up, but I think in this, their version of Vulcans is totally in keeping with the original way it was done.
The bit I did enjoy was the drinking game that they play where if you drink it fast enough you get a force field that protects you from the stinging thing, but if you don't you get a little strap that holds your hand in place. So if our friends at Destination Trek are listening, can we get a few of them tables for next year in the bar and we'll all go play Crazy Orion drinking game?
We do that, and you've got the Riker's Beard guy who can make the cocktails, which we've got to drink. Like, bring them in.
There we go. So, yes, come on, we're on to something here. So, you know where we are. And then the B plot is, as we said, they fall out, they dress as Mark Twain, they get on, which leads them to think that this will work to resolve the situation with the captain. But it doesn't.
It's a great episode in its own. Like, I mean, whenever you've got Rutherford and Boimler palling around, like arguing, but it's within the consequence of their stupid things. You know they're mates at the end. You know they're always going to be, and it's like it's just a dumb argument. Like it's like they're so polite they don't even argue properly.
Yeah,
that's just gold between those two, and to not really sell that really.
It was like what I did like was when they were arguing as Mark Twain, how they both stayed in character to argue. I know they made up by the end of it, but they were both in character with it.
Well, they made up in character. It's like, I put it to you, sir, that you will water it on the odd days, and sir, I will give you the evens. It was
almost like, if you remember the Mary Whitehouse experience with the History Today guys, where they'd, you see, I won't repeat some of the ones they said because,
You see some spit which someone's done on the pavement. Yes, is this spit congealed? Maybe has someone put out a cigarette on it? Maybe there's some fluid you can't quite identify. I have observed such a phenomenon. Well, that's your swimming pool, that is. That's your luxury swimming pool while you're away on holiday.
I thought that was Newman and Badil.
It was, but
they did it in Mary Whitehouse experience first. They didn't do it in Mary Whitehouse. I shouldn't say that. I have to be careful.
They did it in the Mary Whitehouse experience, and then they did some more in their own thing. Yeah, anyone who's not seen History Today, have a look for it on YouTube. It was absolutely brilliant.
That's more or less a quote of one of them, which is, I would say.
This is just talking about history today, but there's a brilliant one where he reads out from the book, and he's reading this description like, it was a pitiful man. He writhed with phlegm on his face and pustules exploding. And he reads this big long quote, and then the other one goes, pray, who was this sad unfortunate? And it just takes ages to turn the page over on the book. You just go, that's you, that is.
Can I just do one more?
So, yeah, if you've not seen...
It was from the live show of Newman and Baddiel. It was the History Today tour. By this stage, they were talking. They do all their other stand-up completely separately, but they do...
Yeah, I remember that one.
And they talk about the original idea from it, which was from one of their brothers. I think it was Rob Newman's brother. And they go, it's like, and we're just going to do the original sketch, which he wrote, which we then made this whole thing out of. It goes like, thusly you'll see the difference between the Ottoman Empire and the Ming Dynasty and this, that, and the other. And it goes into this little speech and goes, I'm sorry, I just came in my pants. And from that, they had evolved this whole thing and then taking the piss out of each other. And this one, it was just like, that was it. It was great.
Yeah, so do yourselves a favor, check out History Today. Let's move on to the next. It is. It's fantastic.
Else in Summit Forwards? We have we could have actually done another episode. We could have done
Allegiance, but we did that in the road to Picard.
Yeah, did we?
We did, yeah. We decided that was a good Picard leadership episode.
Right. We've done a lot of episodes. So.
We have. Yeah. So, yeah, the Naked Time then.
Naked Now,
sorry.
This is episode... TNG we're covering.
Yeah, episode 2 of TNG, and we've already run out.
Or maybe 3.
Or maybe 3, but we've already run out of ideas because we're remaking a TOS episode straight out of the gate.
Now...
And I've got to say,
I have a different opinion of this.
Go on.
That where you're going, we've already run out of ideas.
Okay, after you.
I thought this was a really nice acknowledgement that in the same universe that, we're a new show, we're set in the future, but very early on, they are referencing TOS. Yes, this is a new show, but we exist in the same universe.
Yeah, true.
This is all part of the same continuity. So I think for a very young early show to do that, I like it. I don't think I've always felt like that. But on watching it here, this time I'm thinking, yeah, I can see why you do this so early.
Yeah.
It's not a tie it all together that, yes, we are all part of the same
I don't mind that. And I don't mind the episode, to be honest. I mean, it's not a classic, but, it's
one of the better... I like this episode, and I honestly think it's one of the stronger episodes in season 1. Because, when these were first released on VHS, I tried to start collecting them. And I got to just about the end of season 1 before I cancelled, couldn't afford to keep it going. And this is one of those that I watch more than others.
I would just like to put in my case for this episode. Now, you two, Jim will at least know, you may have caught this in the group chat we've got for a little outing we're doing this weekend coming up, going up to Sheffield, us and some friends. And while I was unpacking some boxes, I was unpacking these sci-fi mags. Now, they have moved house from me from every house I've lived in. They've just moved. And I thought, oh, shit, they're in an old cardboard box. If I put them in a plastic box, they'll keep them better or like a cigarette, whatever I pack them into. So I moved them over. And I suddenly realized in the heart of these magazines was a couple of porno mags. There was 3 porno mags. Now, I am getting somewhere with this, guys. It's not just like a random thing as much as it may seem. 3 porno mags. All which had Joe Guest featured very heavily in it. I don't know what young Squee liked about Joe Guest. Well, I do, but it seemed to be a bit of an obsession, quite frankly. And the funny thing is, I think this episode may have been also quite instrumental in young Squee and his, shall we say, coming of age, was watching both Tasha Yar getting fully functional with Data and also just Crusher just unzipping her top a little bit so you can see nothing was enough for me back then. So I would just like to thank this episode and those 3 porn mags. And I know I'm sure I owned more at the time, but the 3 which seem to have traveled with me,
to be fair,
I would like to thank them for keeping young Squee entertained, shall we say.
In 1987, TV was a very different thing than what it is now.
Yeah,
and
yes,
Tasha
very
Yar
much so.
was very risque how she was dressed in
this was going in the bank. This episode was going in the bank for a lot of young men. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's. I mean, some of it, just some of the acting later on, but we'll get there.
Picard.
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, I don't even know where to start with that.
Well, that was very much
so the
extras, wasn't it? And all the clues dropped off.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. Now we know where they got it from.
Yeah.
So they're going over to the Tsiolkovsky, which is an Oberth class ship. So that's nice to see that ship still in service from Search for Spock. First time we saw that one.
And it's obviously a reused model.
Which again, like Elliot says, this ties it into the previous continuity, seeing stuff that we know and is familiar. So, I do like that.
Well, you get that a lot in TNG, because what we've got to bear in mind in TNG days, every ship is a physical model. It has to be built, and these models for TV cost $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 at a time. And TV budgets weren't like what you have nowadays. So if you built a model of a ship, like what they will have done for the Oberth for Search for Spock, that model is in storage somewhere. So all the models that were built for the TOS movies get a lot of rollouts. The Oberth was a long-serving ship. The Excelsior class is a long-serving class of ship.
Mind you, the one thing which I always bring up is like what I love about the original series was they sold the rights to make the models to EMT. They sold the rights. So they were exactly the same model they were using. So if that one broke, they could pop down the model shop, grab one, make it up, and it was ready to use.
Well, that was
if they had not got greedy with models by the time of the Next Generation, they could have done the same thing. They could have popped their model shop. We would have had exact replicas, and they would have been able to do it for cheaper.
Yeah, only for the long shots, though. It wasn't the.
I'm just saying.
The deal with AMT is why we got shuttlecraft. Why we got the shuttlecraft actually in the show.
Did, yeah.
Because they had a deal for another ship, and it was actually AMT who built the model for the show, and it's a 3/4 size model.
Yeah.
But can you imagine going to a local model shop, buying a little model of the Enterprise now,
it's
and
actually
it looking
being restored.
But I'm just saying, can you imagine buying one of those and it looking like screen accurate, like to that degree?
No,
you pay so much money for a screen accurate now. Back then, that was just standard.
Yeah, but it's an awful model kit. It falls apart. That's why
I make a general point. I didn't mean that specific one. Jesus, Elliot.
So
that's why they got used for destroyed ships.
So the first sort of sign of the drunken virus is when Geordie starts getting really edgy about it being hot, where he's like, maybe it's because it's too hot in here.
Yeah, maybe you turn the temperature up, Doctor.
Yeah, it's not good. It's funny, and that's another point about this is like, it's the second, third episode, but we're doing a everyone acts out of character episode, which is very early to do when we don't really know the characters.
No, the characters, yeah.
Because I actually end up watching Skin of Evil as well as this one. Just randomly, I just had a hair at my bum after watching this one. It was something about the fully functional. I remember, like, she references that, and it's so batshit because they're all having to act like, all Tasha's speech. If you hear any of her stuff that she says about any of the crew, it's so Route One. You're a counselor, so you've got heart. You're the captain, so you're brave. You're the first officer, you're Reiki, so you're funny. Like, it's all the just basic character traits because they've got nothing to call back to because it's the first series and they're having to do a funeral.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing as you say here. It's like they're having to act out character, but they have to act so preposterous because they're just learning what their character is. It's just insane.
They don't know. They haven't developed the characters. They've done the pilot.
Yeah,
because this is my point about Discovery when they first go to the Mirror Universe. I really enjoy those episodes, but it's kind of batshit because you're still learning who the characters are, and immediately they're going to another universe so you can have a mirror version.
Yeah, but they have been. Let's be fair to Discovery; they have been consistent. We're coming up to season 5, and we still need to learn who some of the characters are.
You're right. They kept that up all the way through. They were like, look, fuck it, we'll do a Mirror Universe version. You probably know the Mirror versions better than you know the original crew.
I think you're onto something to an extent about like how over the top they have to be. So it's like we can't just do, oh, Geordie's acting out of character because we don't know who Geordie is. So it's like
yeah, you have to look.
The only reason we know they're out of character.
Yeah, you have to really ham it up here. Like you get it, like, you know, when you're kids and all that, and you're pretending to be drunk and you do all the staggering and stuff, and you're all over the place, and they're all doing that.
Yeah. So Data says, Riker's got this thing about have a look for someone having a shower with their clothes on. And Data goes, whoa, it'll take 3 hours. Like, what's he using? Dial-up?
Yeah, because he has to delete all the programming which Riker previously installed to look for people showering naked. So he has to like get rid of all that before he can start the new search.
Yeah, so like I've seen it
quite
in
possibly,
somewhere happening once. Right, so our criteria we're searching on is a log of someone taking a shower fully clothed. How often do people take showers fully clothed in Starfleet? Like, it's a 3-hour-long search.
Yeah. I think it's him having to delete the history from searching for like
it is that thing, though. You've also got that thing that this is the 1980s. And 3 hours of speed for something searching actually sounded massively fast.
Oh, good, yeah. It's
because,
that was what occurred to me, yeah.
To download a photo at that time, you'd do it overnight.
Well, the classic example is whenever they need
a job. So
the classic example is like, oh, I'm looking this report on this tablet. Look at the next report. Oh, I'd better grab another tablet. And they've got like 10 tablets around them for their different reports, books, or whatever they're reading. Because they could imagine you'd fit all that in one. That would just be insane.
Yeah,
no, it's fun.
It is so. It's cost of the period of time, in it. 1987, we were still on very, very slow dial-up speeds. It would take you an entire day to download one photograph. So,
like, I get why. To modernize it looks silly.
I remember in the 90s, music being downloaded and it being an overnight job to download a single.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So 3 hours of searches.
Elliot, don't say the 90s like that. It's as far back as you go. You can remember 10 the record over so you can hear the rest of the album.
Too right, I do.
So do I. I don't know why I'm trying to stitch you up. I remember that very clearly.
And side 3 of ELO's Mr. Blue Sky even tells you to do that at the end.
It does. So Picard uses a word here that I have never heard ever in any other context. He says, I think she's got a snoot full. And
I've heard
just
like,
all right, whatever.
I'm a southerner. It happens more down this way.
Yeah, but Picards are not like Patrick Stewart's an ordinaries from Huddersfield.
But you know, the writers have been over here.
So you've actually heard that word?
A snootful. You can have a snootful. Yeah.
All right. There we go.
I think basically, one of the writers has visited over here. They've heard the term going, I'm using that for Picard then, even though he's French. I think that's it. I think it's as route one as that.
Well, I've never heard it before or since until now, so...
Yeah, because snoot is no, so...
There we go.
I have overheard it.
Wesley, then. Like, Wesley gets a lot of stick for this episode because it's one of the ones where Wesley saves the day, even though he's the one who endangers them. But I know at this point some of them may have been.
Wesley doesn't endanger them. It's an adult who does it.
You're right, sorry. And that adult is quite neglectful even before he gets the virus, because Wesley goes down and the guy goes, "Oh, I can't go to the doctor because it'll leave engineering unattended." And Wesley goes, "Oh, how about I take over?" All right.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
This guy is just a twat. Like, and it's like when he turns into, he's the only one who seems to turn into a baby because sat on the floor throwing the chips up.
Yeah.
Wait, who said they turn into babies now? When is that? Like, it's so inconsistent what this virus does to people. Like, it makes you drunk, it makes you horny, or it makes you 3 or 2, like whatever. Like, baby.
I suppose.
Yeah, it makes you.
I think what they're trying to show is that people react very differently when they're drunk. Different people. I did notice that they had no one going around kicking everyone's head in and being a yob and spray painting the place. But that must be only what happened in UK.
I thought you were going to say in the north.
Maybe it's because there is no football matches on to go with it.
Jesus Christ, yeah. When Portsmouth were...
Maybe so.
Portsmouth took me to a different league to Southampton. Let's just say it was a big relief. Fucking every derby day, you would get the town trashed. No matter what the result.
I went to college with the lads. God, when was I at college? 86, 87. So... And he used to be in lead service crew, and he used to come in on after weekend bragging about what a great fight and what they'd smashed up where they'd been to visit. And it's like, you went to a football match and he would never ever mention the football. It was all about fighting and vandalism. There
was someone who once came into school, like probably about the same vintage when I was in, when I was in secondary school. And this guy came in once and he goes like, "Oh God, I got absolutely pissed up on the weekend and no twat wanted to fight." He may have used stronger language, but like, I was thinking, good. I mean, that sounds quite nice, actually. No one wanted to fight. Great. Yay. I think he did not mean it in a positive way, though.
But
I never got it.
This lad, though, it was really nice bloke to know. He'd be friendly to everyone. Hardly swore around college. Got on with everyone. But on the weekend, he went to football and turned into an absolutely raving lunatic and spent his Monday bragging about it. What a great time he'd had. And then he'd be back to normal.
And he said, "I nearly blew up a starship."
So, a good line in the episode, and I think that some of the humour, as we've discussed, doesn't land, but I like the bit where Data's going to say his limerick, which we got the call back to in the finale of Picard. And he can't understand why they don't want to hear the end of it. But then Worf says, like, "I don't understand their humour either." And I thought that was a really good Worf line.
I did like this was strange that they never brought Worf out of character.
Well, he was just meant to be, probably because when they first wrote it, he was meant to be a background character. He was just meant to be there. And it was the fact that it was actually, I mean, probably, I think it's 50-50. The fact that he had made, he was so striking in his performance as well as in his look and everything, having Kling on the bridge, the fact they thought that was going to sort of blend in the background. I don't know how they thought that was going to work, but apparently that was the idea to begin with. He was meant to be an extra, but he was always, of course. But I think it was like one-liners like this, little funny joke that go, "Oh, this guy's got more." And then it was lucky for him and a happy coincidence for where he was going that Tasha / Denise Crosby did choose to leave, because it made room for this character who was already going to have to be made something. You know, even if Tasha had chosen to stay, he would have had to get a promotion to something else. Because there was no way that wasn't going to happen either way.
It's that thing, you put a Klingon on your bridge, wouldn't it? Klingons have always been the enemies. How are you keeping him as a background character? You are going to have to talk about this at some point.
Do you know what? We're going to have a Klingon on the bridge. I think we'll make him second in something. Second in security? Yeah, that would make sense. It's like, what?
Well, no, they made him ops or whatever. Or
yeah, he didn't really. It was fairly ill-defined, his role for the first.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
But
he was.
it's like the chief engineer. Like, I don't think we had a set chief engineer for the first
We didn't.
Because in this one, it's McDougal.
Oh, and do you know the guy who played McDougal? Apparently, he started. She. Oh, it must be someone else.
You're thinking of the deputy chief engineer.
Huxley or something. There was one guy who apparently featured in a couple of episodes, and he decided he was the shit. Like, I think he did at some point. He was chief engineer before you got Geordie in there, somewhere in the mix, and he started
that was the Arsenal of Freedom.
Probably, but he started writing campaign because he'd been put in an episode, and they fired him immediately for being a prick, basically, because no one was remembering. He just got like the 3 people who liked him on the screen to write in letters, and they're going, "Oh, fuck off!" He just got fired on the spot. Yeah.
McDougal does have a good line though, where she's talking to the man-child. And she talks to him like he's a baby, where she goes, "These are control chips."
Yeah, just Jesus Christ. I mean, the ability to go that large must have been so much fun for them, though.
It's interesting though to watch it because, it's the second episode. They've not developed the characters that they're going to be playing, as it turns out, for 87, and it's just finished this year, so I don't know what that is. 2017, 40 years. They played the same characters, and they developed them really well, and they play them really well now. But at this point, they don't know where the characters are.
Yeah, and they've got to play different versions of them.
And you do, and it's quite interesting.
Yeah, and you've got like weird. Yeah, like for example, in this episode, Troy calls Riker Bill, which I think she only does one other time in the whole run of the show.
Yeah, that was
it's just so weird to hear it.
I think that's because of the pilot where they'd established that there used to be a couple previously, and in the pilot they had a psychic link that never comes up ever again, apart from towards the end of Picard.
It's it's present. It's like suggested, like, but they don't. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty consistent.
And I think this is where they were trying to make that she tells him something different than everyone else's because they've got that relationship.
Yeah, no,
I'm glad they decided on Will instead of Bill. It suits him better.
It does suit him better.
And can we? As always, I feel like we need to give a shout out to Marina Sirtis's ever-changing voice, not by her fault.
Yeah.
I know she was told to do it, but it was like, hello, I am Deanna Troy in these episodes. It's like, what?
And also,
you don't even know what that. Still to this day, no one can identify what the accent is. And each episode in those earlier shows, she seems to be doing a different accent for years. It takes like series 6 or season 6 before she's kind of settles into doing more a version of her own accent. Even then, though, it's sort of still weirdly posh. I think she goes.
And also, Deanna's season 1 hair is a very strange choice. I mean, I think it was to kind of give her this alien sort of thing. And, Marina Sirtis is never going to look awful on screen, no matter what you do with her. But they didn't have to give it a good go with that hairdo,
And what I'd like to do with her would involve me giving a good go. Hey!
And let's be fair, Marina still looks
it was right there. You put it all out there. It's not me.
So, Picard and Beverly then. So, as you mentioned, Squeak, his laugh there where he goes, huh. Sounds like he's like
Doctor.
Like a stuck record or something. It's an unnatural noise that he makes.
To the point,
and then he does...
There's a podcast called Hollywood Babylon with Ralph Garman and Kevin Smith, and they've got a feature called Shit That Shouldn't Be, and it's just random stuff, either mistakes in film or really. Oh no, it's exquisite acting is another thing they do, and this was under exquisite acting because they play really top flight actors doing weird or shit performances. So like Nicolas Cage pops up quite a lot, as you might expect.
Of course.
And yeah, they got this one of like, they go, I think it's Patrick Stewart from early Next Generation. And I knew as soon as they said that, which was going to be, it's like, and they replay it every time. They go, what the fuck is that noise? I don't know what that is. It's great. Yeah.
And then his voice goes and he goes like, not now. Oh, doctor. And what? Like, if Sal Patrick Stewart gets when he's horny, like, I feel bad for his partners, you know, it's just...
I'll only give you this. When I was a teenage boy watching this episode, and as I say, quite pleased with the episode between what all the ladies are doing in it, between the zipping and the fully functional ship.
Like,
yeah, I mean, it didn't take much, is all I'm saying. Like, I probably was there going... I mean, my voice was breaking at the time, so I've got a slight excuse, but, you know.
Like, I was wondering, how many blokes did Tasha actually get off with?
Well,
we know...
Because we see a snuggered random crewman in the corridor. She's with another bloke when Picard tries to call her.
That might be the same bloke. We don't know.
Okay, we'll give her the benefit. And then we have Data. And here's the thing with Data, and I think this is very early on, they didn't know what to do with Data because Data gets infected.
Yeah.
And Data shouldn't get infected in the same way, in any way, because he doesn't operate in the same way. And he definitely doesn't have water molecules controlling his positronic brain.
I mean,
but it's almost like they hadn't decided, like, is a humanoid android really great?
Yeah.
And it was almost like they didn't know where to go with it and what to do.
And can we just throw out there, like, for one, I mean, I'm sure when they write this will be funny. It's a little bit throwaway thing. They have that awkward moment at the end. Done. That'll be great. The amount of mileage which in the future we get out of fully functional, like, not only is there t-shirts made of it, but just in the show you've got Precious Death, it comes up. You've got later when he's asked about him in Measure and Man. You've got like the end of, I think in Picard they mention it. You've got like they have the they bring out the little model of her from Measure and Man. And there's loads in between, like First Contact, the Borg Queen. I am fully functional.
Yeah.
And how I posted the episode to the High Council of Geeks tonight. Join us live when we'll be fully functional.
Well, I meant in show, but also, Elliot, you know, that's fair. But I'm just saying.
But it's become pop culture. Pop culture is.
It's sort of up there with There Are Four Lights, you know. It really is one of those things, except for there is a hard data cock. Like,
and I saw someone at Destination Trek who had a T-shirt saying, "I am programmed in multiple
techniques."
Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently you're not allowed to ask which I found to my slap-faced chagrin. No, I didn't. I honestly didn't. I'm good.
No. Nor did you find out which ones.
No. Well, I certainly
much to your chagrin.
Yeah, much to my chagrin.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways. So Wesley has that line where he says, "I feel strange, but kind of good," which apparently people often throw back at Will Wheaton as one of the worst Wesley moments. To be fair, I don't think it's that bad. But you know, Wesley
he
got to say it in the bedroom when he was younger. Though. That was
I think this is like the start of where Wesley got his people started to get annoyed with him. He solved the problems.
Yeah, it is weird that the chief engineer can't work out how to reverse the tractor beam, but Wesley can.
How to reverse tractor beam. And she's not infected. And she goes, it'll take days to work out the schematics.
Yeah.
And I honestly think a lot of this is to do with what computers could do in people's homes at the time.
Yeah, maybe.
And now you probably go, can you reverse this? And press button, there you go.
Well, that's pretty much what Wesley does.
Well, Wesley goes, can't you see it in your head? The circuits?
Yeah. And that does...
I can actually appreciate that because I do electronics, as you know, with my ships, and I design it all in my head.
Yeah, I mean,
there's There's
Already
very little written down for my electronics.
All they really had to get Wesley to do was going, "Hey Alexa," and get him to.
Yeah, but that's how technology is altered. We have like almost them computers, like what they're asking Michelle to do all the time.
Yeah, true.
By the way, also just to throw out, "Hey Siri." I just want to wind up anyone.
Yeah, just to get as many people annoyed as we can.
Yeah, because I'm a big child.
Cortana. So yeah,
I've got that one.
So yeah, I mean, the thing with the Wesley stuff is that it undermines the competency of the adult characters. It doesn't. It does serve to make Wesley look clever, but it's at the expense of other characters,
around him.
Which is bad writing. So I get why some people throw a bit of stick at him. But none of it's Will Wheaton's fault. Will Wheaton's awesome. And, you know, as anyone who's seen him, any of his recent stuff that he does, he takes a lot of it in very good humour these days. But the fact is he was underserved by the writers, and it's a shame.
Can I throw it? I think
that's to get the child audience.
Yeah.
I would say that's why it worked really well in Picard, having him basically being Will Wheaton as Wesley Crusher in the cameo.
Yeah.
Because I think it showed that Will Wheaton had to do the same journey that basically, I know they're saying Wesley went off to be with the Travelers and he's experienced all this stuff, but essentially that's a bit of a metaphor for what Will Wheaton had to go through, being this child actor, being remembered as Wesley Crusher, being remembered as the annoying one. He had to grow into this kind of intelligent, self-aware guy who could poke fun at himself, like he even said about during one of the Star Trek days, like, I remember seeing the show and it's like they had like in Deep Space Nine, I think he goes, "Oh, they got a kid there. Oh, fuck that. I'm not going to watch that then. That's competition." And he goes, "I was such an idiot because I watched it and I loved it." And I feel like it just was a great metaphor for his journey, which paralleled Wesley's own of having to grow into a man, having to put behind him what had happened when he was a kid. Oh, that was nice. And this kind of lays down the track for it in a very weird way, having him being such a really awkward kid in this.
Absolutely. And then, it all gets wrapped up. They cure it. Data does this cool thing with the isolinear chips, and we're off to next week's adventure. I think I enjoyed this one a lot more when I was a kid. But it's not as bad as its reputation perhaps suggests.
I didn't think this episode had a bad reputation.
It does.
I quite enjoyed this episode.
I mean, to me, and maybe just how I see it, but I think this is how it's remembered. I think it's so bad it's good. It is cheesy. There are so many problems in it, but it's kind of a fun watch for how silly it is. So it's still enjoyable.
As I say, I only had the first season of TNG on video that I'd bought. And I think at the time it came out, when going back, this was one of the stronger episodes, which is probably why I got that where...
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, there's episodes that are unwatchable in the first season, like...
No, you've watched them all.
Well, of course I have, but several times. But
metaphorically unwatchable, right?
Like Code of Honor, Home Soil, Angel One. You know, this is nowhere near that level of bad.
I know. I don't have to.
I am going to go right back to the beginning of the show now. And your pitch for tonight was just to actually do Angel One as another...
it was. Matriarchal Society. See,
let me put out this. You get your episodes like this and like Move Along Home in the early series of DS9, the first series, where it's like I say, it's so bad it's good. They're enjoyable episodes. There's something fun, something nostalgic about it. I always enjoy watching this episode. I do. Yeah. It's a fun rewatch because it's so silly. And then there's other ones like Code of Honor or Beverly Fox Candle, Sub Rosa, which are just fucking unwatchable. The only reason why they're ever entertaining is if I know we're going to talk about them and rip them apart, I'm going, I'm kind of enjoying watching
one of these days
because I know I'm going to get to live the pain out with you guys. I'm going to have the conversations I never got, because when you're a kid, You were so thankful to have any episode of Star Trek. You celebrate, like you talked the shit out of it, like it was the best thing ever. And then you realize how shit they are, like some of them are. And getting to talk to you guys about them and what doesn't work is just so much fun.
My favourite thing about Sub Rosa is our mate Neil, and he paid for his photo with Gates McFadden, and he went with the sheet over his head and the eyes so he was a ghost. And he got her to do pose for him, so they were like tap dancing. I just thought that was the perfect photo ever.
Do you know what? I was hoping he'd come dressed as the candle guy from Beauty and the Beast. That would have been funny. Like,
it was like he went with a sheet over his head.
I'm gonna get that outfit and somehow get a photo with Gates McFadden dressed as the what's it called? Anyway.
Candelabra. So we'll finish up then. I'll tell you which episode I didn't suggest that I could have done that I've saved you from. The only other major reference to Mark Twain in Star Trek, other than Time's Arrow, is Janeway gifts a book of it to the holodeck fancy man that she makes in Fairhaven.
Well, there's a reason why we're not doing Fairhaven yet.
Yes, there is a very good reason.
A special three-part presentation of those two episodes.
There's a very, very special reason why we are not doing Fairhaven on one of these shows
we're saving
like
it for
this.
someone's birthday.
Because we are going to do it from a pub together, pissed.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way you can deal with Fairhaven.
Facts.
So we'll look forward to that one.
That I may know when we can do that.
Ooh.
Can we do it? So
it depends on how New Trek is scheduling. We will be streaming live, drinking heavily, talking about Fairhaven.
No. What I'm saying
together.
We need to drink as we watch it. So I think we need a drinking game
in a pub.
Yeah, a drinking game though. I'm saying so. Like every time they drink on screen, every time they mention the word Fairhaven, every time Janeway does something morally dodgy in the episode, kind of rules like this. Yeah,
got right to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun when we get round to it. But we'll wrap up there then. So next week we'll be back to talk about the next Lower Decks and whatever that leads us to.
Yeah,
So hopefully it'll be a little bit easier to find an episode to talk about next week.
But we'll definitely go down the rabbit hole.
Hopefully it's just a better episode.
We will.
I'm sorry, but this was okay.
I did like at the end.
In the meantime, you can get hold of us.
So I think we've got a little
Sorry, I missed what you said there earlier.
I did like at the end how the Vulcan went and threw a report away that it's without consent. You don't want people knowing what you really like. I'm not going to tell anybody. And I really like that part at the end of Lower Decks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think both these episodes were fine. But anyway, so you can get hold of us at RetrekPod. You can email us retrekpod@gmail.com. You can check out Elliot's Retrek Model Studios on YouTube. And Dr. Squee, what have we got coming up on the Dr. Squee show?
And King's Toy Box.
King's Toy Box.
Sorry, go.
Actually, I'll give it a plug because we have King's Toy Box. I've been looking at the new D&D Adventure part work, and I got issues 2 and 3 delivered today. So we've got a first impressions video up there, and I definitely did not break one of the models that came with issue 3.
Awesome. So on the Dr. Squee show, 7 to 8, sw20radio.co.uk, drsquee.com. This week again, we've done a couple of weeks of just playing some tunes, me chatting to the audience. I'm going to do that again next week because us three are going away, as I say, to meet up with some friends this weekend, so I'm not going to get any time to record an interview. And to be honest, it's been a nice little break to do something different. Looking forward to doing the interviews again, but please do come and hang out. send me some messages. Let me know what tunes you want to hear. I've been doing sort of like a different artist every week. So if there's an artist you'd like me to cover, let me know. It is actually a really nice live hang, which I've been enjoying. So it's something a bit different.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So thanks for trekking with us this time, and we'll see you next time on the retrack.
Thank you. Goodbye.
LLAP,
And
drag
stay
off.
functional.
Fully functional.